The In It Together with Lynn Greene talk show is a positive way to start your day. Ready for some encouragement?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm pumped. Let's let the healing begin.
Come be inspired, hear moving stories, even laugh out loud.
Can't make heads or tail of what I'm saying.
Just incomprehensible.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
You'll hear real people doing real things to make a real impact.
You are heroes every day.
Hear honest, compassionate, engaging issues you care about.
You see people come together to do good in our community, and the more we come together, the more good we can do.
Listen in and get started on redesigning your life and hear what's positive in Greater Manchester. Here's your happy host, Lynn Greene.
Good morning, friends in Greater Manchester. Welcome to In It Together. I am so glad that you've tuned in. If you'd like to find us on the web, you can go to inittogether.net, listen live, watch your previous shows, even link to our Facebook and Twitter. And if you like and follow us, you'll see that we are bringing out the best in people to influence positive change in this community and beyond. Today is The Good Life with yours truly. Yes, that would be me. And we're going to be talking about, really, what is the good life? I've entitled this segment every Monday, The Good Life, based on work that I've done with clients and myself, areas we've had success. And I've helped people with the hindrances and the obstacles that they face in their life to be able to navigate these things. So we will be back right after this brief message. So stay tuned and we'll talk.
Mark Major knows that great coaches need constant training to be effective. As a certified coach, teacher, and speaker with the John Maxwell team, Mark can help you identify and activate your personal and professional goals. If you seek to do more and be more, look up Mark on the web at johnmaxwellgroup.com/MARC-Major or call 603-674-6818. Mark Major, growing leaders and adding value. CrossNet Inc. offers computer and IT services for commercial clients as well as local personal users. We create tailor-made plans for your business's unique needs, from computer repairs to managing networks, servers, and desktops. CrossNet Inc. offers managed services, data backups, virus protection, web filtering, and more. For more information, go to crossnetinc.com or call for your personalized IT services today at 603-589-2520. CrossNet Inc. IT services that keep your business running when you're on the run.
Hi, I'm Bob Bola, Chief Instructor of Defensive Strategies and anchor of the Personal Safety segment, where we talk about personal protection, situational awareness, and home defense. Tune in every Thursday at 9 a.m. and refuse to be a victim. Only on In It Together with Lynn Greene.
Welcome back to In It Together and The Good Life this morning with yours truly. I am so excited to be here this morning. I've been mulling over in my mind, thinking about today's topic, and I know that we've covered a lot of different things over many, many weeks, but I'm thinking to myself, when people think they're watching The Good Life, what that really means. You know, obviously The Good Life, from where I'm coming from, doesn't really mean we don't have obstacles in our life. It's actually in spite of them. And, you know, the good life is living. It's not about making a living, but it's about making a life that you want. And this isn't all about how much money we make. And, you know, these things may be included in this, but it's not all just about all the stuff that I get and things like that. Good life is really where you there's really 5 basic things that I could see that I've helped been able to help myself and others to realize in their life, or rethink, I guess you could say, so that it reflects the best possible life and expression that we can have here in the earth. So some of the common hindrances of a good life, though, that I have found for me and my clients that I've been able to navigate through. I narrowed it down to 5 things, like I said before. And the first one is identity. It's who do we think we are? And a lot of times we're going to get into every one of these. I'll name them off, and then we'll go through them one at a time. And then hopefully we'll go through some of the common things that can prevent us from living that good life. Now, a lot of people think, yeah, I have a good life, but this or but that. There's always an area that we seem to have that we're like, I can't get through this. And so last week I did a show, I believe it was last week or the week before, on problem solving. It was called First World Problem Solving. And it really took us through how to approach a problem and inevitably find the solutions to them. And it really comes down to the mindset of being solution-minded and not problem-focused. So, all these shows kind of build on each other. If you go into the archives, you will see there's a lot of different topics that kind of come off the same thing, but this is just kind of narrowing it down. So, I find my notes back here. So the 5 things that I believe are really important as far as living the good life goes is, 1, who we think we are. I call it our identity or who we think we are. The next one is who we surround ourselves with. So that would be our environment. The third one would be what we think about most often, and that's or how we think about anything. That would be like our perceptions. And then what we talk about, our words, and then finally what's produced from all of those things, what we think about, what we surround ourselves with, what we talk about, is our experience, how we experience life. Is it going to be the good life? And I know in the past I've talked about having a life good, better, or best. And I mean, it has to start somewhere. So some people, a lot of the clients that I have, they're just trying to get to good for now. But I believe once you get to good, that's really the training ground to learn how to get to the better and the best. I believe that I am living between the better and my best life right now. I feel like there's always a little bit of improvement that I can make. But as far as my state of being and my happiness level and in my understanding of how to navigate when things come up and things are difficult, all these 5 things that I named off, I'm pretty strong in being able to implement those or have those in my life. And so let's start off with, first off, I want to welcome all of those of you who are listening via internet radio. Those of you who are on live stream, you are actually watching my live internet radio broadcast. I welcome you here as well. And I offer you this question. When you think about a good life, and this is interactive, this show can be, again, good, better, or best too. And it's not just relying upon me on this side. So often we are what I would call observers of life. And when we're observers, we're lucky if we can get to good. But if we want to get into the better and the best, like we're talking about today, when we want to get into that, we really have to learn to engage. I've watched live streams and been on webinars and things like that. And if I'm going to go, or I've actually gone to places where they're having a meeting or a meeting of minds or something like that, and I have to engage. That's just something that I've decided that I'm going to engage life and not be an observer anymore. So part of being able to experience that thing I'm talking about, of what's produced from all those other things, is engaging it. So I encourage you today, if you are listening or you are watching, engage the conversation. It's going to be as good as you're engaging it. In other words, my ability to be able to encourage you, inspire you, motivate you, even say something that may penetrate your heart in a way that changes your perspective and shifts your life, which happens a lot with clients of mine, has everything to do with me understanding where you're coming from, what you're dealing with, and how you are trying to navigate it. So the question to you, if you want to call or you want to make a comment, or even ask a question, if you're having an area that you're not sure how to navigate, one of the things that's going to happen is you're going to help me help you. You're going to help me help you. Help me understand where it is that I can meet you. Here it's speculating, and now I'm just going to be able to share from what I've been able to overcome and how I've helped some clients. So when we think about some of the areas, the basic areas of who we are, who we surround ourselves with, what we think about, or how we think about anything, and what talk about, all of those things create the life that we have. It's what ends up being our experience and what we produce. So I'm going to start off talking a little bit about our identity. Okay, so our identity, a few years ago, let me just start off with this. I was coaching a group of about a dozen people, and I posed this question to them: who do you think you are? And I'm going to pose that question to you as well. If you're watching, make a comment. Who do you think you are? Try to make it a sentence or two. If you were to sum it up, pretend you're at a networking meeting and you have to get up and tell people who you are in a sentence or two. Who do you think you are? So I'm in this group, and I posed this question to the group, and a lot of conversation ensues. Okay, and people are laughing and they're enjoying this time, and each person's sharing, things that they've done. They're sharing things that they enjoy doing, what their dreams are, their goals, maybe their education level. They're sharing what other people have told them. But not one of them, when asked the question how they can back up that is their identity, could back it up. And so it came down to, if the thing that you're talking about was no longer there, would that mean your identity is gone? And so there are some people that think, well, my identity changes. It changes with the wind. No, your personality changes, your preferences change, things like that. But your identity is settled. You are already born with the same fingerprint. That's never going to change. So when we talk about identity, you can think about fingerprints. When you get a fingerprint, that's not going to change. So after much discussion in this group, we determined that our identity wasn't our career. It wasn't what we did. It wasn't our grades in school. It wasn't awards or trophies that we received. None of the things we've ever done right were our identity, and none of the things we ever did wrong were. Now, in the world, a lot of people will tell you that those things are true. They'll tell you that we look at people who've made mistakes, maybe made mistakes and ended up getting into trouble or something like that, and then people identify them that way. Well, that's actually the difference between a stigma and an identity. That's more of a stigma that somebody puts on us, and we decide that we're going to accept it because we don't see any other way. But the truth is, many of us get to this place of thinking, any of all those things that, I'm not my job, I'm not what I do, I'm not what people say about me or how people perceive me. I am unequivocally, I am made in the image and likeness of God. And he tells me, he's actually, in his word, tells us who we are. Our identity is in Christ. And I'm not going to get into all the details of that. I'm just practically telling you that the only way that you can truly know who you are is by knowing who he is. Because if you're made after the pattern and likeness of something or someone, you can see this with your parents. You probably have similarities as far as your attributes, your personalities, things like that. You may have, the same color eyes or the same mannerisms or things like that. That again, though, isn't really your identity. That's really your mannerisms and the color of your eyes. Those are external things. Our identity is something that's much deeper. It's at a spiritual level, and it's internally, depending on what we're connected with spiritually. And some people are not connected spiritually, so there's no way for them to truly ever realize who they are. So this morning we are talking about the good life, what that really means. And those of you who are just joining us right now, we welcome you. We welcome your comments. This is interactive, live streaming, interactive radio. you were watching a broadcast, and we're talking about the different things that can help us know how to realize our good life. And it really comes down to a real self-evaluation that you have to start with. You know, who am I? What is it that it's not what I do? So most of the responses that I get from people, whether it's clients or somebody that I'm talking to, are similar to what I was saying before. When you say, hey, so what would you say your identity is? Who do you say you are? And then they start telling you what they do, their preferences, things they enjoy. And that's really, it goes much deeper than that. So when the reason the identity is important is because if we don't have an identity that is based on how God made us, it actually limits our life. It limits us from being able to experience it. You know, a good friend, and I say this a lot, a good friend and mentor of mine says to me that our life experience is only going to ever be at the level of what we think. And I believe that is true because, you know, that's why the next one, one of the ones in here is perception. It's the meaning that we give to something. All right, so the next one, okay, well, actually here, we're still talking about identity. Our true identity is not authentic when we have one persona at home, one persona at work, one persona with certain friends, and another one out in the community. Actually, a true identity, when we've really come to know our true identity, it is when we have one persona and we can be ourselves fully alive wherever we are without apology and without permission. I will tell you, if anybody that knows me, anybody that knows me at work, home, in the community, whatever, I am the same person here on air as I am when I'm at home, when I'm with friends, when I'm working with people in the community. I'm the same person. I don't change my hat. See, if that's something that you find yourself doing, this will be a cue for you. If you find yourself, am I different with these friends than I am with these friends? Am I different at work than I feel, or do I feel like I can't be myself? That was something that awoke me a long time ago. It's like I remember saying to myself, you know, but that's just not me. You know, I just don't feel like that resonates with me. That's not who I am. And you know it at your core when you're in a surrounding or people are putting things on you or people are telling you things about you that you're just like, that's not me. And, you know, so this is part of the self-discovery is your identity. The second part is our environment. The first one is who we think we are, our identity. Next one is who we surround ourselves with, or our environment. Now, we have a choice in all of these, by the way. This isn't just a certain, you know, this is just the way it is. We get to choose. I mean, the identity part, you're made in God's image and likeness. He knew you before you were in your mother's womb. That you can't really change. But the environment is about the surroundings and the conditions that we live or operate in. And so most of us have experiences in different environments of life, like we were saying before, at home, at work, with friends, the community. And there's certain places we like to go, and there's other places not so much. You have that too, right? So there's nothing like being able to create, though, an environment that reflects your true identity. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. When you know who you truly are, you begin to create your world like that. Like if anybody was to come here at the studio and walk through down from the studio all the way down to my office and in the classroom and all the, you know, video room and all the different things that we have here, there's a fingerprint on it. It says Lori Lynn Greene all over this place, and I don't mean literally in words, but my personality, how I live. I mean, you can tell, you know, when you go in somebody's car, you can pretty much tell who they think they are. You know that I love to live with excellence. So yeah, I'm neat. You come in and things are in place. Things are where they belong. I put things away, and that's partially personality, but that's partially intentionality. And I think part of living a good life is living it intentionally. So once you know your identity, who you are, and you begin to be that, everything around you reflects it, okay? Because we're living from the inside out. So unfortunately, I have to take a brief break. Boy, this is flying by a lot faster than I thought today. But please support those who support us. I got to take a brief break, and I'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Little Leapers and Knowledge Keepers Childcare and Preschool offers learning experiences that give kids a healthy sense of self and meaningful connections to the world around them. We teach children from a positive perspective so they learn healthy conflict resolution and develop character. Owner Jennifer Lever has over 28 years' experience in child development. She's helped children learn to read as young as 18 months. Join our happy place where we make happy happen. Located in Pinardville, bordering Bedford and Manchester. Call today at 603-491-1780.
Hi, I'm Mark Major, certified coach and speaker. Join me Wednesdays at 9 a.m. for It's a Wonderful Life, all about leadership development and living a positive lifestyle. Only on In It Together with Lynn Greene.
Hi, I'm Jen Lever, anchor of the Recovery Now segments. Join me Tuesdays at 9 a.m. where I offer support to families struggling with addiction. Hear personal stories, learn the signs of addiction, and get help for your loved ones. Only on In It Together with Lynn Greene.
Welcome back to, you got to put the volume up. Welcome back to In It Together. We're in the good life this morning, talking about living the good life. And I was saying that there's levels of this, good, better, and best. And so we're covering, we went through what our identity is, what our environment is our surroundings that's produced from who we think we are, or who, not just who we want to be, but who we believe ourselves to be. And that's a big difference right there. We were saying how we've all been places where we've said, or we've done things, or we've been involved in things when we said, yeah, this just isn't me. We feel like a fish out of water. And it's just not the right environment for you. You know, you put a fish up a tree and they don't know what to do. You put them in the water and they find their genius, right? And so that's what we're talking about, is when you have your true identity and you begin to create the environment for that, or find the right environment for that to flourish. That's when you come alive. Let's see. Here's something that I've learned. If I'm going to stay somewhere for any period of time, something has to change. It's either going to be us or the environment. And when I get in somewhere, usually it's the environment. We inherently are environment changers. You know, different cultures. You see different cultures that may come to our city or come to, you know, wherever you live, or you've gone to different places in the world where there's different cultures. And you've heard people with, you know, accents when they speak. If you go around those environments long enough, you begin to do one of two things. Your identity is either strong enough where you begin to influence that culture yourself in that environment, and it begins to change, which a lot of missionaries do that, or you begin to assimilate to that culture and you begin to change. So somebody who knows their identity, the one I'm talking about in Christ, is not going to assimilate to another culture as much as become an influence for change in that culture. And that's where we're talking about the difference between the good life, a better life, the best. You know, when I talk about the best, I'm talking about living your life the way God designed you completely. The top performers are the ones who do that. Okay, when I say top, I'm not talking about the wealthiest, richest. That doesn't mean that excludes that. But I'm talking about where you are satisfied with who you are, with the environment that you have, the life that you have, the influence that you have, the things that you are, your life experientially. You have peace, you have joy in your life, and that's what I mean in those areas. So when we think about places that we've been, that we've changed the environment or something has to change, there are other places that we can go and we automatically just feel alive. We could spend hours there, lose track of time, and we look forward to going back over and over, just like your job, right? Some people would laugh at that and say, no, absolutely not my job. For me, it's yes, absolutely it is. Part of that is my job. I look forward to returning. It's like a vacation. Somebody said that if you're living your true identity, your true life, you will never work a day in your life. And that's true, because now you're just being the expression and living from who you are meant to be. So we don't have to wait for our vacation, though, to experience this. We always have another choice, and I think a lot of times we don't realize that. So we've talked about identity. We've talked about our environment. Now I want to talk about the way that we think about anything. It's our perception, how we perceive things to be. Our biggest hindrance, I believe, in living a good life are having wrong perceptions. I've had them. You've had them. I may have them again. But as we learn and as we grow, this is why I believe personal development or self-development, I shouldn't say self-development. This is really, for me, and for some people it's psychology. For me, it's not. It's about knowing who I'm meant to be based on what the Word of God says. So it's very different than other people. Those of us who understand this live from the inside out, spirit, soul to body. So that's how we live. Those who don't live from whatever is coming at them, and they let that decide for them and determine who they are, what their experience is going to be, what their environment's going to be. And can you see how opposite that is, how different that is? And so perception, or how we think about anything, is extremely important because it affects our outcomes. And so I think it's very important. This is where a lot of coaching can come in. This is where I've helped a lot of clients, where they come in with an issue they're dealing with. They can't get past this certain point. And I'm able to probe them with certain questions to find out, what they're trying to accomplish, what they've been doing, and why it's not working. So our perceptions can affect our outcomes. So it's very important to qualify whether those perceptions are true. Now, in this day and age, there's so many people out there, people on television and stuff, say, finding your truth. And I'm going to tell you, that is a lie. There is a truth. Jesus said, I am the only way, the only truth, and the only life. And anyone that comes to the Father must come through me. And why do I say that? Because it's important to know that if our identity is in the image and likeness of God, wouldn't it be important to know who He is? Just like somebody, the Bible talks about us having an adoption. We're adopted into the family of God when we have a revelation and receive the free gift that He has given us in our life of salvation. But when we don't have that, we are ill-equipped to even understand it, because it's spiritually discerned. We are created as spirit, soul, and body, but we have a human spirit. And until we come to Christ, until we allow Him into our life and our heart, our spirit is not alive. Not in the sense of an awakening or a revelation of, I get it. I can see now where I couldn't see before. And that's what I'm talking about as far as perception goes. There is no your truth and my truth. The truth is true for everyone. If we're saying your truth and my truth, then it's not necessarily true for somebody else. That kind of debunks the idea of the word truth, because real truth is indisputable. Okay, it works all the time, always. We talk about gravity. Gravity it's true whether we believe it is or we don't. And so this is what I'm talking about. So let's reflect on why something if something isn't working in our life, and we search out different perceptions until we find the truth. Einstein said something that was profound. He said, we never solve a problem from the level that it exists. And it's true. We don't. We have to come above it. So when we talk about above, my license plate actually says rise above. And I've had that license plate for many, many years. And it is because I've gone through mistaken identity so many times in my life where I thought I knew the truth, but my perception was wrong and my perception was off. And the only thing that's ever brought me back into alignment with that is to know the truth. And the Word tells us the truth sets us free. Okay, so when we talk about the good life, we're talking about a free life, not one that has all kinds of hindrances on us, beats us down, makes us feel like I'm not going to make it, we don't have confidence. And in a sense, our confidence really isn't in ourselves, but our confidence is in the finished work of Jesus Christ and what he accomplished for us. And those are things that are important to know if we want to live the good life. That way, it's not by chance anymore. It's not just I hope something's going to happen. It's I know. I know that I know that I know. And there's no question, and my life has been ordered by God. And when I know what he says, I can order my days. And I don't wake up wondering what's going to happen. I wake up and I order the day as far as what it's supposed to happen. Okay, so when we talk about how Einstein said that we never solve a problem from the level it exists, small thinking will likely not help us. Okay, so a lot of times when I help clients, it's always helping them to get a higher perspective, not just what we think, how we feel, but what did God say about it, and aligning ourselves to that, adopting that perception in the good life is talking about bigger thinking. David Schwartz wrote a book that I read decades ago called The Magic of Thinking Big. He states a couple things in this book. He says, the mind is what the mind is fed. Think about that. It's kind of like our bodies. We are what we eat. And when we think about our mind being fed, we're supposed to be fed in our mind from the Spirit of God, the Spirit of truth, the love of God. That's where the revelation comes from into our mind, which is part of our soul, our mind, will, emotions, and desires. Now, a lot of people get that mixed up, and they think my identity is how I feel, my mind, my will, my emotions, my desires. But actually, it is not. It is subjected to the Spirit of God. And when it is, it's in the right order to produce everything you want in your life, and it does it by itself. It produces it. It says, the blessing of the Lord makes us rich, and it adds no sorrow with it. Now, richness isn't just money. It's having a good life. It's the richness of life, rich relationships, rich in health, rich in, finances can be part of that too, but in so many things. The other thing that David Schwartz said in The Magic of Thinking Big is look at things not as they are, but as they can be. Possibility. Perceptions to be changed have to be open to possibility. And we don't want to put limitation or caps on that. So it's the reality that we've adopted. Our perceptions are the reality that we've adopted, and it's whatever we consciously are aware of the most. I have grown to a place where I'm consciously aware of the presence of God in my life, and I have a dialogue with the Spirit of God. As I'm doing things, I think, how would you do this? I want to inquire of the Lord on his mind about things. Why would I want to do it in my own strength and in my own limited ability to think? And when we practice this, we get used to living in that place more, and that becomes a reality to us more than what we see in the natural world. Because I'm not, like when I came in here in the studio and in my office and stuff, it was all white walls. And I was thinking about the vision that God had given me for this radio show and for the broadcast and for helping the community and being here as a coach. And I had to envision the environment, the experience that I wanted people to have when they came here. And so I had to tap into that spirit and let my soul meditate and see what that would produce. And as I did, as I meditated and let that vision get in me, I automatically did it. And that's what we do all the time, whether we believe God or not. That's our life as it is right now is a sum total of what we believe ourselves to be, the perceptions and the meaning we give to it, the environment that we create around it. And so when we what our perceptions we adopt, our words are telling to those that hear them. Okay, this is the other part, is what we talk about. Our words is the last part. What are the things we talk about most? First, it's who are we, knowing who you are. It's the environment that we are in that can help us to be authentic in that. It's the perceptions that we have or the meaning that we give things. And then it's our words. It's what we say, what we talk about most. I can be with somebody for a few minutes and pretty much know where they're coming from. Are they a negative person or are they a positive person? Do they have faith or are they just kind of aimlessly walking through life, not really knowing what's going to happen or where they're going? There's a difference. So it comes down to that, like I said before, that intentionality of being intentional, of where I'm going to live, where I'm going to live from, and so that what I can do in my life is going to come from that place. Okay. Let's see. We're almost out of time, so I just want to kind of look here and grab what I need to. I just saying that our words matter too, because we hear our words, and the Word of God tells us that faith comes by hearing, hearing by the Word. It can be the Word of God when you're reading it. It can be the Word of God from the Spirit, or it can be your own words. So self-talk, what we're saying to ourselves, we begin to believe what we tell ourselves, and that comes from what we think about. Okay, so I don't want to get into all that, but the reality is what we say. You know, I can sit with somebody, a client, what they say, how they say it, the words they choose to say it. I've developed these skills to be able to, and I'm also self-aware, and I've gone through enough things and know how to navigate problems that when they come into me, I can tell what someone is thinking versus what they perceive. I can tell what they're not saying as much as what they are saying. I can tell that if they're being truthful, confident, sensitive, authentic. I can tell if they have integrity or character, or if they're shifty. So these are things of discernment. All those things come with knowing who you are and being connected to the source of that. And it's not the universe. It's Jesus Christ. It's in God. Either way, our words are a reflection of who we think we are, our perceptions. So unfortunately, we're out of time. Maybe next time we can go through some common things that prevent us from being happy in our life, as far as being able to live the good life. But I am out of time today, so I want to thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate you being there. If you have any questions or comments, even after the show, you can put there, and I'll be able to respond to you later. Anyways, we're out of time, so have a blessed day. And remember, actually, I forgot to tell you, tomorrow Jen Lever will be here for Recovery Now to help your loved ones dealing with addiction. Have yourself a blessed day, and remember, we're in it together.